How do you know if you're ready for Marine Corps boot camp in general? I got a simple answer for you. If you haven't been, you don't know. You don't know. There's some ways to kind of have an idea, but the truth is you don't know. You haven't done it before. Well, I got a solution for you because here on the After Action podcast, myself and my two co-hosts that I have with me, we are prior recruiters. And we're here giving a behind the scenes, unedited, unscripted, unfiltered in general look into recruiting duty and what we do to get our applicants, our poolees, ready for Marine Corps boot camp. Let's kick it off. Amongst the three of us, we got a lot of years of recruiting duty experience. I believe it's somewhere around 15, 16, maybe 14, but a lot of years. A lot of kids we've sent to Marine Corps Recruit Depot Paris Island. And a lot of those people were successful. Of course, every now and then we had somebody not make it. It happens. It happens. It's not for everybody. But here is what we figured out from what it takes to graduate as a United States Marine. Lou, what's some of the things that you got from your experiences on recruiting duty that have helped kids essentially go to boot camp and earn the title of United States Marine?
Yeah, Dom. I mean, honestly, it all starts with that discipline, right? I think that when from the time that they join our program and they start that transition from civilian to pulley to recruit,
Yeah.
they have to embrace it. They have to embrace the culture. It's completely different. Like, we're trying to take people from all over the place and get them to work as one, right? So in order to do that, we gotta like start from scratch. And for me, some of the biggest tellers that my kids were ready for boot camp were when they started being proactive. They I don't have to tell them to do things; they start doing them on their own. The knowledge that we assign to them, they know it. Their ranks, they're helping others. You hear from the parents. Parents will call you like, man, like I used to like literally, go into have a WrestleMania match at my house trying to get this kid to clean their room. Now they're doing their bed. From that perspective, it definitely, shows you like, okay, this person's there. And then physically, right? So there's traits, but there's also, the physical aspect of recruit training. Are they meeting my minimum expectations or exceeding them? A sign of that is when they're exceeding them, like when they're just killing it. I felt pretty good about it. Last thing is, and then to me is the most important is like mentally, how can I develop my kids to be prepared mentally, and that's through how we ran our program right in Syracuse, from not being a drill instructor, but kind of not giving them an intro to what some of that stuff will look like. So yeah, for me those are some of the signs.
Yeah, I would definitely say that none of us here on this podcast were drill instructors.
No.
All of us here on this podcast, no drill instructors. Also, we've been trained to become Marines by drill instructors. There's a whole rivalry between recruiters and drill instructors and all of that stuff. And I don't care what you've seen anywhere else. I already know that recruiting duty is hardest amongst the Marine Corps. It's not drill instructors. So if you think differently, drop that down in the comments. But Ant, what about you? What are some things that you think with your kids to make sure that they're ready to go down to Paris Island and not just go there for a quick 3 weeks and turn around and come back and be a civilian again, but to go down there and become a United States Marine? What are some things that you do, bro?
First off, they're gonna stop acting like a bitch. No, honestly, they start displaying certain, qualities and stuff like that, like Lou was talking about. The biggest and foremost is physicality of actual, the Marine Corps boot camp, and the difference between just high school and then what the Marine Corps expects you in order to be successful at boot camp. So coming in PT, they're leading PT, nothing's really winning them. Like they're good to go physically. And then the biggest thing, like Lou was saying, is the mentality of it. You know what I mean? Are they making excuses not coming in to come work out with us? Have they really embraced the culture of the Marine Corps? You know what I mean? Because the Marine Corps is not a job, it's a culture. And you really got to embrace that in order to be successful at boot camp, because it's such a culture shock from everything you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
the simple freedoms that you have with the cell phone or just walking out, taking a break, like that's really not there in boot camp. So you really got to embrace the culture. And so that's our job, is to kind of give them a heads up, to kind of, bring that knowledge to them. Like, hey, in order to be successful, this is what you can expect. This is what we went through. This is how it's changing. This is what they're going to say. This is how they're going to act. This is how you need to respond. And so when they really embrace that culture and they're stop making excuses, and they're there, they're showing that they have the interest, they're showing that they want to succeed, they're showing that initiative. I think truly that's when hey, this pulley is going to go down to recruit training and become that next United States Marine. I always tell them, like, me, like, short, I'm not that physically fit, but it's like, man, if I can do it, you can do it. And really, it's just that mentality, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I would definitely say that, yeah, the mentality is a whole thing. The physicality is a whole nother thing. Both are very important, but realistically, it's like, are you going to complete it or not?
Yep.
It's simply up to you. I know that. And how I know that it's simple. Like, I didn't have any clear-cut instruction on what Marine Corps boot camp was going to be like.
Yep.
I mean, I'm not going to get into the whole, like, hey, how did Dom get recruited process? But what I will say on it is that by the time I went in and met with my recruiter, he saw that a motherfucker could do some pull-ups. Yep. And he was like, dude, you're good. He didn't tell me anything about boot camp. I took from the only Marine that I knew ever in my whole life, which was that recruiter. Damn, I'm good. I was like, man, I ain't put nothing but some high school sports into this effort. I'm good. I didn't know that I was going to have to yell in boot camp. I didn't know that I was going to have to run. I didn't know how I was going to have to be able to eat my chow in a matter of seconds. Like, I knew none of that. From my experience to when I became a recruiter and I worked with these guys right up here on the screen, it's night and day. So it truly depends on the office that you're recruited out of. But a lot of times these recruiters know we don't just need to enlist you. You're not just a number in the sense of we need to find somebody to join. No, we need to find somebody who joins, somebody who ships to boot camp, and somebody who becomes a United States Marine. Yeah. So the effort should be there from the recruiter, right? So when you enlist, you join what's called a delayed entry program, the pool. You're in the pool as a poolee. And as a poolee, we have expectations of you, and it should start from the moment you have been interviewed and your recruiter asks you straight up. It might not be like this in other branches. If you're getting interviewed by a Marine recruiter, the last sentence when that interview portion of that meeting is done is, I've got one question for you. Are you ready to be a United States Marine? Yes or no? If you say yes, that's when we, the recruiters, state the next steps. And what some of the next steps that we're going to state as far as our expectations go to make sure that our poolees don't just enlist into the depth, but become United States Marines.
Yeah, so immediately once they, they say yes, enthusiastically that they want to be United States Marine. The next thing is, physical fitness. Like you said, like that's the importance of the delayed entry program. And that's the biggest quality that we're going to understand. Hey, this Marine is ready to go when they're in there every day. You know what I mean? Like we're telling them, hey, obviously the basics, the pull-ups, the plank now, and then, the 1.5 mile run, 3 mile run, the IST. If they're actually training for, they're taking tips like, well, what do we do to be successful? So stuff like that, that's what we're looking for. And then obviously, as you know, like whenever they join, they get that little tin box with all the goodies inside of it. Are they learning knowledge? Are they asking us questions, more things about the Marine Corps, like certain qualities that they're going to start to display to show how interested they are in the Marine Corps? And if they're not just doing it just to do it, but hey, they're trying to thrive. You know what I mean? There's something, whether it's a family, whether they're, some type of generational thing when it comes to Marines in the family, or hey, they just know the Marine Corps is going to change their life. Like you're going to see that interest in that pulley, on how invested they are into the program and getting better in order to be successful. You know what I mean? They're picking my brain, they're picking your brain, they're picking Lou's brain, because also we've done different things in the Marine Corps. And they're kind of trying to figure out, hey, I like this about Dom, I like this about Lou, and I like this about Ed. I'm gonna try to, encompass all that, and be this way. So I know when I go down, to boot camp, I'm gonna be successful. And again, You know, you're physically better than me in some things. Lou's physically better than me in some things. I'm physically better than y'all in some things. So it's like that's the beauty of it. We have all three of us sitting there, kind of teaching and driving these young police into what we expect from them in order to go down and be successful. So just being there and just being honest with them, you know, having that discipline,
Yeah.
instilling that discipline in them, and just kind of driving them to where we know they're going to be successful.
I think also though to add to that, because as you guys were talking, I thought it like a person like literally came to mind.
Yep.
This particular Pooley was a guide. This is after Syracuse. This is in my other office after that. But this particular, yeah. uh, but this particular kid though, he was a guide. 25 plus pull-ups, ran PT God stud, you know, did all the crunches, all that stuff, just knowledge, you know, you name it, the leadership, everything. I think about it all the time, like, man, did I miss something? Like this kid, I was like, this kid's gonna be honor grad, you know, in my eyes. That's what I
Yeah.
was thinking. This kid lasted a month.
Damn.
And then never became a Marine. Don't know
It
what
happens.
don't know what he's doing with his life or anything like that. So I say that to so that people know, like, you know, it's more mental than anything, and like you can be physically ready and be doing all the right things, but at the end of the day, you control what happens. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
In his case, I think he just the being, you know, in that new environment, that chaos that we try to simulate, but we can't quite create, right? Because that's what
Mhm.
the drill instructors do. You don't know until you're in that situation how you're gonna handle it. Kind of like what Ant was saying. You know, we all bring physical tools to the table, and we don't know how somebody's gonna react to a certain situation. Uh, this was a prime example of that, like, you think just by looking at him, oh yeah, he's great, but you
Yep.
got put in this situation mentally, he just shut down. And I put that out there to let people know, like, hey, you know, just prepare mentally for the worst experience of your life, but at
Yep.
the end of it, it will be the best thing you would have ever done.
Yeah, I will certainly say, right? If y'all don't know me at all, I'm as competitive as they come, right? And in any given situation, it could be anything, it could be school, it could be sports, it could be something in the Marine Corps, whatever. If I see somebody doing something naturally, instinctively, I compare that to how I would be able to complete that myself, right? And me being as competitive as I am, I just think that I can do a lot of things better than a whole lot of people. Is that necessarily true? Probably not, but that for real is my thought process, right? That's just how I am. So me having as little information that I had prior to going to boot camp, you know, I didn't know that. You know, when I went to the recruiter, I busted out 13 pull-ups, and my recruiter was like, "Oh my god, you're a beast, dude!" And I was like, "Yeah, I know." You know, like not thinking anything of it. All my recruiter had to tell me was your max to get all your points was 20, and I would have been able to meet that, but I'm sitting here thinking, like, bro, I might be the best Poolie this guy's ever seen. Right? That's just for real, like how it went down. I get to Paris Island, boot camp. I get to boot camp, and I see people busting out 18, 20, 30 pull-ups. And I'm like, bro, what? Like I was honestly like devastated. Everything for me on that depot, Marine Corps Recruit Depot, was a learning experience. I didn't know what a guide was. I heard a kid from Kentucky saying "I guide," but he had an accent. I thought he was saying God. I was like, why are we calling this recruit a God? So I'm like, he's just like us. There's nothing special to that. So what I do is I take my experiences, and you know, I'm trying to just assume that these kids that I'm recruiting, and it might not be right, but I assume they couldn't do what I did. I adapted on the go, and I earned my title of a Marine. So not that the kids that I recruited were any less than me. I just didn't think that they were built the same as me. whether that's right or wrong. Again, right? That's just my mentality. Um,
How about when they
so
hit you with knowledge, Nom? I didn't
yeah,
know that. It's like you got to
yeah,
study in boot camp. I was like, nah, they lied to me about
no.
this.
General orders, what are those? I didn't know any of it. Yeah. That's a whole nother story, to be honest. I got one on that. But so, anyways, I'm trying to explain everything that I can to these to my applicants, to my poolees. These are things that you should know. And I'm trying to hard stomp it, so it sets into their brain. Like, I need to learn general orders. I need to learn rank structure. I need to learn all this stuff. And ultimately, most of that is mental because it's a mental game. I'm going to scream at these kids, these poolees. I'm going to scream at them. Why? Because I'm also the same person that will comfort them and console them and be like, hey, buddy, come here. Look, you still got what it takes. That was just a little test for you. You got to be able to respond.
You never once called a pulley buddy, though.
Yeah, no, I did it. Hey, but my pulleys knew, right, that I was an intense guy. So yeah, I'd come down hard on them because I also knew that I would be the one, or I needed to be the one to make sure I picked them back up. Like, dude, to be honest, I was a test, bro, and you failed.
Yep.
If that happened on the depot, what's going to happen? You're going to quit? You're going to give up on your goal or your dream of becoming a United States Marine? It's that simple as that. So we as recruiters, we've learned from our own experiences, right?
Yep.
Maybe I wasn't taught anything and I want to make sure I teach my kids things. Maybe I wasn't physically fit and I want to make sure my kids are physically fit, right? Every recruiter is going to be a little bit different. But Lou, what's some things that you got on that? Like, I'm a big believer of learning from the experiences that I went through and trying to like set the poolies up for success. You got to push them, but you also got to comfort them a little bit because we're not drill instructors. We're recruiters, and we need to make sure we hit our shipping mission. What do you think on that?
Yeah, and I think that like we did a good job of balancing that, right? That's why we had we would do mess nights sometimes, right? For like an event, or we'll have the yearly pool function when an actual real life drill instructor gets in these kids' faces for a whole day. And like some kids can't handle it. And and that's where we have an attrition, right? Where some kids will discharge from our program because if they're gonna do that for one day at home, they're not gonna be able to hold it down for 3 months down in recruit training. So I think like what you were saying, learning from the good things that we have and also the bad, like as you're saying some of those things, I don't know what Ant's experience was like, but like I'm relating to you, bro. I'm over here like, that was me too. Like, I was pretty good physical shape, but I didn't know anything about knowledge. I knew there was a swim qual, but I didn't really know like the different tiers. Some people are scared of water and they're like, if they don't know how to swim, they might be terrified. They're like, oh, I can't make it, so it's not that kind of swimming, right? You're not going to the Olympics and trying to be Michael Phelps. Like you just gotta survive, essentially.
Right.
But those are things that I felt, okay, these are things that are gonna be good for kids to know and that I can prepare them for their general orders and coming up with creative ways, games, drills that we would do to have them learn it. And then but also build that cohesion. And I think that's where like because boot camp sucks, right? So how do you get through it with those recruits to your left and to your right? The quicker you figure that out, the better life is going to be in boot camp. But when you build that within your pool and they can rely on one another and they start working together, when they're going to want to go to boot camp together on like a buddy program, they're going to stay in touch. They're going to motivate each other. They're going to write each other letters. So those are all ways that, we can kind of build the program and help it grow. And then that's where you start having your positive signs and seeing people go and make it. And Hey, every once in a while, some for unforeseen circumstances, somebody won't make it or somebody will get hurt. Injuries happen in recruit training. That's
Hmm.
all part of the game. But I firmly believe that, like, we during my time, we had one of the best programs, and we like when you look at all the pictures in your background, I remember when you first started that flag, and I was like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm gonna put a picture of
Yeah.
everybody."
With one picture on there.
With one picture on there. And like, fast forward to now, like I remember a lot of those kids and like to be honest, like it wasn't a lot of kids that showed up as a pulley that didn't get to bring you their picture for that flag after the
Yep.
fact. And that speaks volumes to the program that you ran with your kids. Um,
Yeah.
but as I'm like going like, yeah, 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 I want to hear from man. I want to know like, and like, how do you like do you have to go through some of the same things, or was it a little bit easier for you having already have some brothers of yours in the military that you kind of know a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean it was a mixture of both. Obviously, I had two brothers that were already in the Marine Corps, so they gave me a good spill like, hey, it's gonna fucking suck. You just gotta suck it the fuck up and do it. Um,
Yeah.
but like I was never involved in the pool program, because I had just had my daughter, you know what I mean? So I want to be able to spend as much time with her prior to going to boot camp. I think the only time I actually went to do anything with the pool was to go do my IST to actually get out to head to boot camp. So again, but that's experiences, you know what I mean? We're talking about how we know if, a pulley's going to go and be successful down at, boot camp, and 99% is going to be on that pulley. But that 1%, like we're alluding to, is the recruiter. You know what I mean? Like if a
Hmm.
recruiter fucking really cares and is doing his damn job, he's gonna do everything in his power to give that knowledge, give that drive, give that motivation to those pulleys, to put them in a position to succeed down there. You know what I mean? And it's through experiences. Hey, I'll tell them it fucking sucks. I always used to say, boot camp's kind of like prison. You know what I mean? Like you're behind walls, you can't do nothing. You got to be told when to pee.
Yeah.
When you can't pee, you got to told when to wake up. You got to told when to shave. But I'm telling them this, and I'm making it sound funny, but at the same time, I'm telling me like this is how it really is. Get it through your brain. Like I'm gonna be like this. I'm gonna act a certain way towards you. I'm gonna tell you to do certain things. I'm gonna require certain responses from you, not because I'm trying to make you feel like shit. Because I need you to understand when you go to boot camp, it's just a different way of life. It's a culture. You have to adapt to what the Marine Corps wants you to be as a Marine. And that's how they weed people out is, some people can't mentally do it. Physically fit as hell, do hundreds
Hmm.
of pull-ups and stuff like that. But when it's being told what to do and when to do, how fast to do, how slow to do, a lot of people tend to break. So as recruiters, if you give a fuck, you're gonna figure out what's there with them. What's in it for them, what drives them, what makes them want to do it, and you're gonna kind of play on that. And like, hey, you're trying to succeed, you're trying to do this, you want to be there. Like, this is what you need to do. This is what the Marine Corps wants you to be. This is how fast they want you to run. This is how they want you to talk and stuff like that. That's gonna overall put them in position to succeed down in boot camp. Honestly, so just give a fuck. Honestly, as recruiters, give a fuck. As police,
Yeah.
listen to what your recruiter's saying and ask questions. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know everything because at sometimes I was a brand new recruiter, so I was giving my experiences, but I was like, you know what? Hey, boss Lou, come talk to me real quick. He has this question. Do you know about this? And that's when your knowledge would come in and play. And then if we wanted a different opinion, hey Don, what'd you do to succeed? Let's tell him. So now he got three different people from three different backgrounds from three different parts of the United States. We all became Marines. This is how we did it. This is our tips
Yep.
and tricks. You can do it. You know
It,
what I mean? Stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like you're saying, like getting that buy-in though, man. It's like just like working together down a recruit training to be successful, working together as police, same thing as an office for recruiters. If you're a recruiter out there, work with your office. And if you're not, getting the help that you need, like reach out to hire, reach out to your recruiter instructors, assistant recruiter instructors, let them know what's going on. If you truly care, if you're trying to make something better for your kids. Because at the end of the day, like, when these kids signed that dotted line. We owe it to them to
Absolutely.
Yep.
to get to get them ready and to make this happen for them. And if the way I took, that's why I took this charge is so personal because I feel like I failed, and
Yep.
I'm not a failure. Um, and that's just a part of the caring though. When you got a team that cares, they'll come together. It makes for a great program. like Ant was saying, ask questions, don't be afraid. And same thing with a pulley. If you're a pulley right now watching this, and you're like, man, my recruiter don't do none of this. It's like, go up to them. He's like, hey, sir, can we come up with kind of like an action plan? Because I'm leaving for boot camp in 4 months or 2 months or however long it is, right? Like, I want to make sure I'm at my best whenever I get down there. Just give it a try.
Yep.
Yeah, when it comes to that buy-in, when it comes to that buy-in from the pool, right? It's you're getting the buy-in because they believe in what you're doing. And I even remember that I had a point. I believe that I was the boss of the office at the time. If not, I was just probably the senior recruiter. But I had enlisted a kid. I'm not gonna say his name because I'm gonna talk a little bit of shit. But I enlisted a kid. And the motherfucker's a little chunky. He's a little chunky. And he was kind of nerdy. Also, he wanted to be a cook. Like the kid, he had a couple L's in his book, right? But when I tell you, we're as far as physicality goes, of course, we want the guy that can do everything the best. But realistically, we want to know that when we send you to Paris Island to go to boot camp, that you're going to graduate, right? Yeah, we want you to be the honor grad, but everybody ain't the honor grad. That's just a fact. Yep. And I enlisted this kid, and yeah, I mean, he had all the L's in his book. He was a little bit different. But when I tell you, I asked him, are you ready to be a United States Marine? He said, yes, sir, I am. I gave him the following steps. I was like, you need to lose some weight. You need to learn some knowledge. You need to bring me some referrals so I can get you your job. Is it supposed to be in that order? Maybe not necessarily, but that's the way I did business. You bring me a referral, I get you a job. And the kid was doing it all. Like when I tell, like he didn't come from money, right? We recruited in Syracuse, New York. Yeah, there's some places in Syracuse that got some money, but you also got it downtown, and you got public school systems where teachers are getting stabbed with pencils.
Hey,
right?
Shout out Henniger, Nottingham.
Yeah. Yep. So Corcoran. So the kid was heavy. I tell him he needs to lose some weight. We only do our pool PT once a week. And we also had a remedial PT on Mondays and on Fridays. He showed up to each of those. And also, he didn't have money to get a gym membership, but he knows he needs to lose weight. He puts himself on a caloric deficit and starts walking the stairs in his house. Counts them. He counts the stairs every step. This kid lost 30 pounds. I only needed him to lose about 8. He doesn't need, he needs to know some basic Marine Corps knowledge. He starts learning everything. He didn't have a social media account, and he creates one. His profile picture is the Eagle Globe and Anchor, and he's sending DMs. Hey, you should talk to my recruiter. Boom, 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 boom. He ain't get a referral. I ain't gonna lie. He didn't get a referral.
He tried.
But it's the effort. That dude literally took every word that I said from the interview and did it. So to bring this a full circle, yeah, the kid was a little bit nerdy. He was just different. I make him a squad leader. And the pool starts to question that. The other poolies, they're like, oh, he's not the fastest. He's not the strongest. He's not the most vocal. Like, how does he become a poolee? Because he took an order and he accomplished his mission. That's how. Hey, I gave him an order, and he did everything that I had asked him to do with minimal instruction at that, right? He's not a kid that I needed to sit there and babysit 24/7 to make sure he's doing it. He's in his house walking up and down one flight of stairs to make sure he got his steps in for the day. Yeah. The rest of the poolies, they're looking at me like I'm crazy. I'm looking at him, or I'm looking at the rest of the pool like, this is going to be a great leader of Marines.
Absolutely.
Our pool is going to make sure that he's prepared to graduate as a Marine. but his mentality, he was there. He was there. What about you guys? Either of y'all ever have any poolies or applicants like that?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think, I mean, obviously we all crew together, so y'all know. Yes, pulleys that weren't physically or mentally there, but again, as a recruiter, if you fucking care, you figure out how to make that work for him. And
Yep.
for instance, like I would pair him up with one of my strongest guys, in my little squad. You know what I mean? So if I had a guy that was just killing it, with everything, the knowledge, the physicality of it, I'm gonna, hey, I need you to lead. You're the squad leader. I need you to lead your squad and start helping this man out. Help him learn knowledge. I'm gonna give him the tricks and the tips that you use to get comfortable with the knowledge, to learn the knowledge fast, and kind of help him out. Because everybody learns different. So
Yep.
you got to put them in the right position to succeed. And that's what I did. Y'all know I had some people that could not do some pull-ups, but you develop programs. You have people that are just physically gifted. Like, hey, what are you doing, or what do you think that I should do, or how can we go about putting our heads together to actually get him to where he needs to be, so he's not failing anything, like he's up there with the best of us and stuff. So it just put him in the right position to see, whether that's with me, you, Lou, or just another outstanding pool lead that's his age group that maybe feels a little bit more comfortable with talking to and confiding in. Put him in that position where he's able to figure out where his downfall is, but we're also able to get him out of there to where he's succeeding and stuff like that. What do you think, Lou?
I agree. For I think we all got similar examples, right? Whether it was a kid that came in overweight, talking about this is what they want to do, or what me and Dom used to call the skinny fat. They're skinny, but they got no strength. As far as a success story, this particular guy, his brother was a Marine and he wanted to be a Marine, but like he just was not, contrary to his brother was like the athlete, sports, the jock, what people sometimes envision, in the military. He was just a quiet kid that went to school and just didn't work out. He ate right, but he wasn't like in sports or anything like that. Complete opposite of his brother. But he looked up to his brother, and he saw what the Marine Corps did for his brother in terms of like helping him mature and grow. So he wanted those are the things he wanted from the Marine Corps, and this kid could not just do anything physical to save the life of him. And I told him, I was like, listen, I will not work with you until I see minimum these three things. And I gave him the three things that he needed to do physically. And there were pull-up crunches and the run time that I needed him to be running. And then but I also gave him some guidance. I was like, start here, do this, do that, and then come see me in 2 weeks, and I'm gonna track your progress. And every 2 weeks, this kid religiously came or hit me up, or would send me a video of him at the gym doing things. And lo and behold, like slowly but surely, this kid went from like 0 pull-ups before boot camp to doing like 12, which is a big jump for
Yes, it is.
somebody that he wasn't even in the program for a whole year. But that showed me, the desire, the want, the mentality was there, right? So that's somebody that comes to mind that and he went down, he became a Marine, just like his brother. There's 4 years, got out, and he's doing good for himself right now. But it's all about that mentality and that mindset from the get-go.
Yep.
Yeah. I will also say, it is not always about building these kids up. It's not, because when they get to boot camp, they ain't gonna get built up. Their mentality has to do that on their own, because the drill instructors are breaking them down constantly.
Yep.
If you're the fittest in your platoon, that also means you're probably gonna get IT'd the most or the hardest, because their job is to break you down to less than dirt in order to rebuild you into the image of a Marine that we want to project to America and the rest of the world. Simple as that.
Yep.
So if you're fit, that's awesome. You have the potential to be a great Marine, but how do you bounce back from being broken down? So I will say this. We had a poolee. And this was when I was a canvassing recruiter. So Lou was our boss. We had a poolee that was a squad leader, and he was vocal. He was smart. He was also very, very cocky. But he also had a weakness, and that was his run. The dude was not a runner. And I'm looking at him like because I can't just fire him. I can't just remove him and put one of my poolies in place. But I'm looking at him like, how is he a poolie? I mean, how is he a squad leader? And my kid is not. He can't even pass the run on time.
I
But
remember having conversations with you about him.
He's got everything right to say. Yeah, I'm talking to my boss like, we need to fire him. Next thing you know, in the whole time, right? Because Lou's kid is my kid, and his aunt's kid, and aunt's kid is my kid, is Lou's kid, right? Ultimately, all three of us here on this podcast were Marines as recruiters, obviously, right? The poolee is not. So we outrank each one of them. And I'll be damned if I go to correct one of Ant's kids and Ant tries to step in and stop me. He gonna let it go. If he didn't like the way that it went, he gonna talk to me, and he gonna talk to the kid, and he's gonna do those things. But he gonna let that play out a little bit. Obviously, if I'm doing everything that's correct, he might not agree with it, but that doesn't mean it's wrong. So this kid was not my poolie, and I let him know. You do not deserve to be a squad leader of RSS Syracuse. Bro, I hated it. I hated it. I didn't dislike the kid. But bro, you don't lead while you falling out from a run. Everybody, that's just the way that I felt. That's the way I felt about it. And I told him, I am going to take this office over, and the first thing I will do is fire your ass from being a squad leader, not from becoming a Marine, right? But that is not the example I'm trying to. Hey, if he was falling out of a run but showing the effort, everything you got, no. Everything you got is not you walking. Everything you got is you running and then dropping. That's the way I seen it.
Yep.
So sure enough, I become the boss of the office. We go out on a run intentionally. I might add, I ran that PT session. We go out on a run. He's one of my squad leaders. He falls out. I stop the formation, and just like President Donald Trump said, "You're fired." I couldn't wait. I could not wait. We used to give our squad leaders black T-shirts that said Marines on them. They're pretty cool. Give me your shirt, bro. You go back to the basic poolee shirt. Nonetheless, he at that time, he was a good kid. At that time, he was a good kid. He ended up becoming a Marine, so on and so forth. But yeah, it's not always about just trying to build him up. This was a very cocky individual. He thought he couldn't be touched. And I needed to let him know. And to my defense, I think that I did that for his benefit so that it wasn't a culture shock when he got to Paris Island.
You're right, Dom, because I mean there were even days where like we talk about it, it's like they would come in and they didn't even know like it's gonna be like a DI day, right? And I say that lightly because again, we're not drill instructors. We love our drill instructors and what they did.
Yeah.
But like, we will bring a little bit of chaos into their lives and they don't know it. And it was by design just to see how they react. Cause like, some of these guys, they will get complacent too. It's not that they weren't doing great, but sometimes they'll get complacent. They'll start getting lazy. And it's like, hey, we need to wake them up. And it would work because then they'll lock them back in and they'll get going, doing right what they need to do.
I'll say this to the listeners. If you are curious, if you think that you will make it as a United States Marine, the answer is simple. What are you telling yourself up here?
Yep.
Are you ready to be a United States Marine? If the answer is no, you're going to fail. You're going to fail. It's designed to weed those people out. It truly is. The drill instructors, as much as I don't like to admit that, what they do is harder than what we do, and I'm still not admitting that, just to be clear. What they do is top tier. What they do as drill instructors does exactly what it's meant to do, and it weeds out those people that have no business being a United States Marine. right? So, and it all starts up here. If you're worried about your physicality, I'm here to tell you I've sent people to boot camp that could do 2 pull-ups. But I hype them up. Like, I'm telling you, the adrenaline is going to get you 3, 5, 6 pull-ups. The kid comes back doing 12. That's facts. That for real happened. If the kid sucks at running, if the kid doesn't know much knowledge. If you don't know knowledge and you're about to go to boot camp tomorrow, here's a tip for you. You got 11 general orders. Learn the first one because it's the first one. Learn the 5th one because it's the easiest one. Learn the 6th one because it's the longest one. And learn the 11th one because it's the last one. Statistically, you're going to get asked one of those ones. Yep. Obviously, sometimes statistics let us down. But if you're concerned about not knowing everything, those are the ones you need to learn. Learn some rank structure. At the end of the day, if the mentality is right, you will become a Marine. I didn't even know you yelled in boot camp. I just didn't. I became a Marine, but also, like I said at the beginning of this podcast, I just believed I was better than anybody. So there ain't no way this other recruit was going to make it and I wasn't going to make it. That's just the way I thought, and it started up here.
I'm with that. Like, I think like finding that motivation, right, and keeping aside of that, like, dude, I think that goes a long way into successfully completing boot camp. I think we all had our reasons. You know, Aunt had a new baby girl. You had that competitive edge. I had my own dad tell me to quit ahead before I went to boot camp, that I was not going to finish it and not make it. Anytime boot camp sucked, bro, that's what I would think about. Yep. That's what helped me push through. So again, mental. Just be a strong mental individual. You'll be fine.
All right, so thus far, we've talked all about, what does it take to know that you're ready for Marine Corps boot camp. But what are some key mistakes that people make before even going to recruit training? You're a poolee, maybe you're an applicant. You think you already know what it takes to be a Marine. Well, newsflash, you fucking don't, because you're not a Marine, right? You just don't. You might idolize your recruiter, but you're not your recruiter. You're not him. You haven't walked a mile in his or her shoes yet, right? So this is an issue that we experience a lot on recruiting duty, where you just have this in your head. Yup, I'm ready to do it. I don't need no advice from nobody. And then you start making these mistakes. And a lot of times we can identify those mistakes before you ever go. You're committed. You're ready to, you think you're ready to ship. You ship. And like Lou mentioned earlier, you got all the attributes, but you don't make it. Why does that happen? Why in the world does that happen? And why do you think that happens?
As we put it in Marine Corps, failure to adapt, to be honest with you, overthinking and just making excuses. You know what I mean? Like, I used to tell my police, like, hey, like, you want to be United States Marine, right? Like, yes. How bad are you willing to be United States Marine? Very bad. Are you willing to do anything? Yep. Quit your job. What you doing the job for? I just want extra money. Marine Corps is about to be your job. Like, you gotta live, breathe this shit in order to succeed. You know what I mean? I'm trying to do everything I can to help you succeed. But when I gotta hunt you down, or Lou or you are on my ass talking about where's your pulley? We haven't seen him in a fucking weeks. Like, and I gotta find you. Like, bro, you still want to join, right? 9 times out of 10 when that's happened, I pretty much know in the back of my head, like, man, this dude's ain't gonna make it. If he even makes it to, actually going on the plane and get into boot camp, if he goes to boot camp, he ain't gonna make it because he's not invested. So when you got a pulley that's making excuses, missing PTs, you got to chase down his ghost. Like 9 times out of 10, he's not gonna do it. Sometimes they're overthinking or overly confident, thinking that, hey, I don't really need to pay attention. Like, I already know what it is. I saw the commercials. I know what it is. And they get there and they get that culture shock, that hit of, reality to them. And it's just different. They tend to fold. So, I mean, it's just watching how they are, watching how they respond to certain things. You'll be able to nitpick. You'll be able to nitpick really quick. Like, yeah, he's just not going to make it. He don't got it in him. I can't see him being a Marine, unfortunately. Like, they don't realize, they have trouble with the, hey, I'm talking to you, we're interviewing, the professionalism. Yes, you want to be United States Marine. All right, cool. You swore in. All right, cool. Now I got to give you a little bit of that Marine. I can't be so professional with you where I was talking to you all nice and sweet. Now I'm going to show you what the drill instructors, are going to kind of be like. Because, again, I'm not a drill instructor, but I'm going to be stern. yeah, I gotta have you respond to yes sir, no sir, all this kind of stuff. And when they just don't adapt to that, yeah, bro, like sometimes it's just like it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. Sorry, Marine Corps is not for you. Army's down the road, so maybe that's better for you. That's what I
Dog,
think.
that's honestly facts. Like you brought up some things that hadn't even crossed my mind. Like you're sitting there in the interview, and the kid is sitting there like, yeah, bro. I think I could do that. Blah blah blah. Are you ready to be a Marine? Yeah, I think I am, man. All right. Well, first and foremost, that's the last time in your life you call me man.
Yep.
From here on out, it's yes, sir.
Yep.
Are you ready for that? Yeah. You mean yes, sir? Yeah. I mean, you gotta flip that switch, and you gotta start letting them know. Obviously, you kind of gotta read the kid, because you don't want to scare him off, because we do need to enlist that kid.
I agree. The failure to adapt part.
Mhm.
To kind of tie it into that, joining for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
I'm joining for the educational benefits. I'm joining for this job. And don't get me wrong, those are all good things that come along with being a Marine. But
Yes.
guess what? Whether you're an MP, an admin, a tanker, infantry, logistics, an S shop, you're first and foremost a Marine. So that's what we're getting you ready for. So some kids get discouraged because they're like, oh, I joined to be a MP. Like this has nothing to do with that. And I'm like, you will learn that in due time. I need to make you a Marine first, and that's what sets us apart from all the other branches.
Hell yeah.
That pride of belonging, that mindset, like it's unlike anything. So that's why I see it go wrong with some applicants, with joining for the wrong reasons. An example that comes to mind, I was not a fan of couples joining, because if they can't go together, meaning to boot camp around the same time frame, they don't want to go. They either don't want to go, or if one discharges, then the other one wants to. Sometimes it works out. Sometimes I had the girlfriend join, so the boyfriend wanted to join because the girlfriend joined, then the girlfriend shipped, but the boyfriend didn't.
Yeah.
All kinds of ordeals. So like again, that falls under joining for the wrong reasons, because you're joining for somebody else. Like, no, man, if you don't do it for yourself. And I always told kids the educational benefits are phenomenal, but that's the wrong reason to join the military.
Yep.
Because like there's a lot of sacrificing that comes along to reap those benefits, because that's not something you get from the rip. You gotta serve minimum 4 honorable years, right? In order to rate that. And people don't realize that, they think they get these things from the rip. Maybe not Marine Corps specific too much, but we do have bonuses out there. Some kids join for like a job bonus, and so the money, like money can be good, but not like back in the Vietnam days when they made like $100 a check or something, right? They make a little bit better money nowadays, especially as you get higher rank and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, like those are not reasons why you should be wanting to join. You should join first and foremost for the opportunity to create a positive change in your life, and just know that in order to create that change in your life, you have to embrace Marine culture, and that is what boot camp is making you a Marine, and then comes the other stuff.
Dude, honestly, that you made some great points right there, and I want to double back to the piece about joining the Marine Corps specifically for a job. He hit the nail on the head. We train Marines. We train you to become a United States Marine. Now, I'm not telling you just take any job that the recruiter says. I'm not saying that at all. You definitely pick something that piques your interest, and you should try to push for jobs that you're interested in. But at the end of the day, either those jobs might not be available, you might not qualify for them. Do you want to be a Marine or not? If you're talking to another service, oh, hey, what's up, man? Blah, blah, blah. And it comes up. It comes up as I served as an active duty Marine. It comes up today as a veteran, right? I start talking to somebody like, oh, you're a Marine. Army here, 11 Bravo, which is infantry for the Army, right? First of all, Marines don't do that shit. They don't do that shit. They don't identify themselves as a soldier. Any Marine you meet, active or veteran, will tell you, I'm a Marine. Now they might not just bring that up in conversation. You know, that definitely depends on the person. But if you get them to divulge information about themselves, I'm a Marine. Oh, what'd you do in the Marines? I did this. Soldiers aren't walking around being like, I'm a soldier. It just doesn't happen. I was in the Army. I'm 11 Bravo. I was in the Army. I'm this. You have got to join for the right reasons. If you're joining for the wrong reasons, you will fail. You will fail. And I've had applicants try to tell me, I want this job. I want this job. I'm going to try to get you that job. But I'm telling you right now, I don't think I can. And that's not just me talking as a recruiter, blah, 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 blah. That's me being for real. We're very limited on what we can and we can't do. So I'm telling you, I don't know if I can. I will try my best to get you that. Is it going to be an issue if I don't? I think it will. This interview is done. It's over, bro. Do you want to be a Marine or not?
When you're talking about the jobs, because like I don't want it to be misconstrued as like we just gonna give you what you want and like see that's what they're talking about. Like, nah, look, there's jobs that you're gonna qualify for, and a recruiter that's worth a damn is gonna steer you in the direction that you're strongest in based on your scores, right? So we're not talking about we're just gonna give you whatever we can. We're just saying that like that job shouldn't be the main reason you want to join the Marine Corps. We want you to join for the change, for the change you're trying to create in your life. And then all these other great benefits that you're going to be able to get are going to come as a result of that. To include picking your job, which we'll sit down and it's not like this is all I got, pick. No, like we're gonna see everything you qualify for, then we'll start eliminating what's not available. And then we'll start circling what interests you, and then we have a very detailed discussion. Like we have videos, like, and if it's our job, oh man, you good. Like we got all the intel on that job, right?
I mean, I came into the Marine Corps. Y'all have already heard about how, like, you know, I don't want to how competitive I am. I was a very physical guy. All of that stuff. What job do you want? What job do you want, Dom? I was like, I want to be a firefighter. Recruiter puts me on the firefighter contract. What I did not understand was that signing the firefighter contract, somehow or another, the Marine Corps decided to drop admin into that same exact contract. So I graduate, I'm towards the end of boot camp. I'm telling the other recruits, you know, we're talking about our jobs and shit. And I'm telling them, yeah, I'm a firefighter. We go to do our last inspection. And in that last inspection, you have to state your MOS, your military occupational specialty. And so they read them all off, and they say my MOS is a 0-100, which is a basic admin. And I was like, that don't sound anything like. Again, I don't know shit about the Marine Corps. I'm like, that don't sound like a firefighter. Like, what? I didn't even know what admin meant. You know, anyways, come to find out, here I am, typing all day, sending, receiving emails, fixing pay, dealing with legal issues, whatever. Is that what I wanted to do when I joined? Hell no, that's not what I wanted to do when I joined. But first and foremost, my body forgives me for the fact that I did admin for my 12-year Marine Corps career. Second of all, my future employment loves the fact that I understand the processes of operating and running an office. I have more of a skill set. But anyways, to get back to it, is like Lou or Ant might be dealing with an applicant that's so gung-ho on, I just want to do infantry. I just want to do infantry. People think that Marine recruiters are solely pushing infantry on people, and that couldn't be further from the truth. It couldn't, because we don't have that many infantry jobs to give. So we're trying to persuade applicants to go to other job choices. And that's when they'll holler at the boy Dom, be like, oh, Dom's got all the experience as an admin, jobs similar to admin and so on. They'll call me in and kind of give a debrief on some of the things that I've learned and taken away from my experience as, in fact, an admin. There's so many other things than just the job that people are going in the wrong direction when it comes to preparing themselves for boot camp. For an example, they just think that they can be told no wrong. But a great leader understands that they can sometimes go wrong. You have to know oneself and seek self-improvement.
Oh,
Once you become a Marine, you might know a little bit more about that. But if you refuse to take guidance, I'm telling you, you might become a Marine, but you will have a hard time in boot camp, and you will have an even harder time once you've earned the title of a Marine and have now gone out into the Fleet Marine Force to go off and serve your country.
I love that leadership trait. Know oneself and seek self-improvement, because anybody in life, should be wanting to be better than what they are yesterday. Today's a new day.
Hell yeah.
Better. There's certain things you want to do, certain steps you got to take in order to be better. And that's the epitome of Marines, man. We preach, we harp, we love small unit leadership. That means anybody at any rank can lead, but you got to be a follower first, to be honest. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. I had to follow my recruiter in order to be successful at boot camp. And that's what we're kind of trying to instill. Like, you go there overthinking, underthinking, not thinking enough, thinking that you can do it a certain way when it's really that way. Like, you're not allowing yourself to be led. In order to be in the position to lead, you got to take what people are giving you, running with it, and making it your own to be successful. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's why Marines are Marines, and that's why we kind of stick out from everybody else, because of how we, just our mentality is just different on the way we think of life and how we go about being successful. We have like a no-fail mission, no matter what it is. It can be the simplest thing. We're not going to fail. And it takes every Marine to believe in that for us to be successful. And it starts from the pull program, being able to understand, like, we're going to push you to be successful, but we need you to buy in. We need you to understand this is how it's going to be for you to be successful. And then once you're there, the Marine Corps opens up so many opportunities for you. You just got to get through that rough part. You know what I mean? Because what I try to get them to understand is boot camp is, like you said, it's built to weed people out that are not able to encompass the Marine Corps spirit. But
absolutely,
that's a small part of the Marine Corps. You know what I mean? Like, the Marine Corps boot camp is not the actual Fleet Marine Corps. You know what I mean? So it's different. You just got to get through it. And that's what we're trying to, get them to understand. Like, there's so many opportunities there for you to do anything you want to do, any job you want to do. But you got to buy in and being a United States Marine, being able to be led in order to achieve what you're really trying to achieve at the end of the day, if that makes sense.
Everybody can have their own opinions on what it takes to be a Marine and what you need to do to be successful. I think that the general consensus that we could take out of all the things that we talked about today is signs that can tell us that you're ready is how strong you are mentally. And then signs that are a tell sign that you might not be ready are, the joining for the wrong reasons. And
I agree completely to everything that was just said. At the end of the day, I truly, truly believe that if you want to be a Marine, you have to come to that decision, not just vocally. You don't just say that to people, because that's how you go there and you fail. You have to believe what you truly feel. I am ready to earn the title of United States Marine, and I'm willing to do what it takes to get there. And listen to your recruiters, and they will prepare you. When you get to the depot, listen, observe, and do exactly what the drill instructors are instilling into you from training day number 1. And you, without a doubt, will be able to earn the title of a United States Marine. That brings this episode of the After Actions podcast to an end. We got myself, Dom. We got my co-host, Lou. And we got my other co-host, Ant. We are 3 very experienced recruiters. And we're trying to drop this knowledge. So make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. You got your notifications turned on. Drop a comment if you got something you want us to talk on, because we're going to drop a whole video on Q&As answering what y'all want to know. So until next time on the After Actions podcast, people.